Chapter 021, Heard Old Men Playing Chess, is a ruse. Harlan had no intention of becoming a drifter. After defecting from the Sprout organization, he no longer had access to free resources. The mechanic class was a money pit. Equipment, materials, and parts were incredibly expensive. Funds and resources were a major hurdle, while the wilderness offered freedom. It was resource scarce and unstable, hindering growth. Moreover, he was alone and vulnerable. Before growing stronger, he needed the protection of a major power. If the Sprout organization pinpointed his location in the wild, they would act without restraint, perhaps even resorting to a barrage of heat-seeking missiles to carpet-bomb the area. Leaving him no escape, the Sprout organization hadn't used such methods against him before because Harlan was within the Star Dragon Nation's territory. Missiles would be intercepted, and exposing their other bases within Star Dragon wasn't worth it. Another reason was that the leader hadn't deemed him worthy of such extreme measures. Harlan chose to join the Six Nations primarily because, besides the Sprout organization, only they possessed advanced knowledge for his advancement quest. Joining the Six Nations was imperative. The immediate priority was choosing a foothold in West Capital. The moment Harlan decided to come to West Capital, he had a target in mind. It was a hidden storyline point. In his past life, he had only learned about it from others' information, never personally obtaining this opportunity. Now, with no competitors, Harlan could seize the advantage. Before him stood a repair shop, its facade open like a car mechanic's garage. The shop had no name. The signboard simply displayed a wrench icon, informing passers-by it was a mechanical repair shop. Passers-by were unlikely here. The repair shop was tucked away in an inconspicuous alleyway, walls on both sides. The alley entrance was about 200 meters from the shop. Without venturing in, one would assume it was a dead end. This opportunity slipped through my fingers in my past life. Not this time. Harlan's eyes gleamed. This repair shop, though unassuming, concealed a precious early-game opportunity unique to the mechanic class. In front of the repair shop, a chessboard sat on a table, two grizzled old men facing each other, engrossed in a game. One tall, one short. The shorter one sported a stubbled chin and wild shoulder-length, thinning hair, the artistic type. The taller old man had neat, gray-white short hair, meticulously combed, and sat ramrod straight, like a pine tree, intently focused on the chessboard. Most noticeable was his empty left sleeve, a disabled veteran. The two old men glanced at Harlan, then resumed their game, expressions serious and focused, as if facing a formidable enemy. Harlan scanned the board, briefly surprised. Impressive, they were playing Go. Black and white stones intertwined, the situation intense. The tall old man was building a large dragon, while the short one was cornering and blocking, struggling to keep up. Their moves were like gazelle horns hanging on trees, sharp and dangerous, fraught with peril. Looking closer, wait, Gomoku, all that drama for 5 in a row. Are you here for a repair? A pleasant female voice broke the silence. A woman hurried out of the repair shop, instantly catching Harlan's eye, fair skin with a healthy blush. Around 1.65 meters tall, not stunningly beautiful, but the kind of attractive that grew on you. Gentle features, warm smile, like the girl next door, about 24 or 25. A woman in her prime, a towel draped over her slender, fair neck, hair pinned up with a black hairpin. She wore a simple black tank top and denim hot pants, revealing long, straight, pale legs. Beads of sweat glistened on her forehead in the sunlight, a wrench in her hand, indicating she had been working. A young horndog appreciates a woman's face and chest, a seasoned man. Legs and waist, an old driver, well, it's all about the vibe. Then there's the rare breed, like a Randy Terrier, indiscriminate, gender no bar, as the saying goes. A 20-year-old woman is like a cherry, pretty but tart. A 30-year-old woman is like a grape, pretty and delicious. Harlan always believed that the sweet spot for a woman's beauty was between 20 and 30. As for 40-year-old women, like pineapples, delicious but a bit rough on the outside, 50-year-old women, you ask 50-year-old women are like tomatoes. Still think they are fruit? Are you hiring apprentices here? The woman's eyes lit up, sending a shiver down Harlan's spine, to describe the look politely. It was like a man starved for 3 days seeing a feast, a desert wanderer spotting an oasis. Less politely, like a puppy spotting poop, a baby seeing its grandma. First sound, nia. Come in and sit down, don't catch a chill. The woman eagerly grabbed Harlan's arm, pulling him into the shop, as if afraid he'd bolt. Looking up at the scorching midday sun, Harlan squinted. Is catching a chill your local way of saying heatstroke? The repair shop's decor was primarily white. Yellow and black, a two-story structure. The ground floor was the workshop, support pillars dividing the space into 3 work areas, each with workbenches and a full array of mechanical tools. Grinders, cutters, drills, welding guns, and more. The workbenches were scarred and worn, showing their age. Along the walls were multi-tiered iron racks, piled with mechanical parts and metals, like a hardware store. Further in, a black metal spiral staircase led to the 2nd floor, presumably living quarters. I'm Kira, the owner of this repair shop. You can call me Kira. Kira introduced herself generously. Kira, Harlan acknowledged the name. I'd like to be an apprentice here. What are the requirements? Tell me about yourself, Kira said with a friendly smile. She had a good first impression of Harlan. She rather liked his eyes. Listless and dead, like a slacker content to drift through life, suggesting his wage demands wouldn't be high. Harlan, 21. I'm from out of town. Know a bit about mechanics. You can also call me Han the Mechanic. Han the Mechanic? Kira found the title a bit odd. From out of town, not a student at West Capital Academy. The universal knowledge of the cosmos included basic training for supers. West Capital Academy was Star Dragon's official academy, enrolling nationally selected geniuses, systematically teaching super knowledge in martial arts, mechanics, and psionics. Outstanding graduates were directly appointed to important government posts. National talent reserves. However, those who could become supers were 1 in a million. Even with perfect training courses, the success rate remained low. I've only learned some rudimentary mechanical theory, Harlan said humbly, modestly, keeping the 8 honors and 8 shames in mind. What a pity. Kira felt a pang of regret, then realized it might sound disrespectful, quickly explaining, Sorry, I didn't mean it like that. No worries. I need to test you. While I do need an assistant, I won't hire you if your skills aren't up to par. Perfectly reasonable. Harlan had no objections. Kira fetched a broken appliance, ready to have Harlan repair it. Just then, the short old man playing chess at the door suddenly spoke. Boy, why do you want to apply as an apprentice? Kira looked puzzled. Grandpa's question was strange. Of course, he was here to find work. Harlan turned, looking at Kira's grandpa, Old Man Lou. I'm just looking for a job. Old Man Lou grunted noncommittally, pushed the chessboard away, and stood up, walking over. I'm the owner of this shop. Only if you pass my test will I allow you to stay. The tall old man, about to connect 5 white stones, protested helplessly. Hey, you're cheating again. I have serious business to attend to. Old Man Lou's face didn't even flush. Shameless, the tall old man muttered helplessly. Unable to continue the game, he followed them inside. Chapter 022, Bionic Prosthesis, Star Dragon National Land Strategic Defense Bureau. Abbreviated as Bureau 13, Harlan's mind raced. Old Man Lou was the key figure in the hidden storyline, Harlan's target for this visit. Encountering the tall old man was purely accidental. This was a high-ranking figure. Harlan knew his identity could fool others, but not this man. The original plan was to anonymously deliver intelligence on Sprout. First showing goodwill, then revealing himself when the time was right. But now, plans changed, adjustments were necessary. Contacting a high-level official of Bureau 13 so abruptly put him in a somewhat passive position. But Harlan rarely felt discouraged. When things shifted, he'd just think of new ways. Since anonymity was no longer an option, he might as well directly expose himself. Demonstrate his value, make them see he was worth recruiting, and wait for Bureau 13 to come knocking. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. Harlan and Star Dragon had a potential basis for cooperation. Luckily, he was already in the city. Bureau 13 would be more cautious, worried about damaging the city, hence acting prudently. If he'd revealed his identity at the checkpoint, he'd be surrounded by the military at their mercy. Changing plans wasn't necessarily a bad thing. The tall old man was highly respected. Gaining even a sliver of his trust would mean his plan was mostly successful. Thinking about how to start a conversation, Harlan asked, "What test?" Old man Lou looked around, not finding any obvious challenges, then his eyes lit up. Pointing at the tall old man's amputated arm, "Make him a prosthetic arm. If he's satisfied, you pass." "Why drag me into this?" The tall old man was taken aback. But seeing old man Lou wink at him, he understood Lou's intention to deliberately make things difficult and drive Harlan away. "Grandpa, you're going too far." "Why be so harsh? You'll scare him off. You spend your days drinking, playing chess, wandering around. How long has it been since you managed the shop? And now, you won't even let me hire an assistant?" Kira protested indignantly. Old man Lou ignored his granddaughter, staring directly at Harlan, awaiting his answer. Harlan looked odd, emphasizing again, "Are you sure you want me to make a prosthetic arm that this old gentleman will be satisfied with? If you're too scared to accept, then get lost." "I accept," Harlan chuckled and agreed. The bionic prosthesis blueprints he'd obtained were gathering dust in his inventory, blueprints ready-made. Old man Lou's request was right up his alley, and it was a perfect way to naturally engage with the tall old man. He wondered if it was just his imagination. But lately, he felt a bit lucky, feeling like some presence was watching him in the dark. "You have 3 hours. I don't have the patience to wait a day or two for you to make something." Old man Lou scoffed. "Grandpa," Kira was furious. "To make a prosthetic arm first, you needed to measure the tall old man's arm dimensions, then draw construction diagrams. Finally, fabricate the product. Just drawing and conceptualizing could take hours. Even with a lathe to simplify the manufacturing process, it wouldn't take less than 2 hours." It was practically no time for Harlan to even think, and the final product had to satisfy the tall old man. This was blatant sabotage. Designer treatment was never this bad. But old man Lou was the head of the family. Kira's protests were useless. Harlan, however, had no reaction. He took out a tape measure, asking, "Sir, is it all right?" The tall old man generously took off his coat, indicating he could measure his amputated arm freely, while Harlan took measurements. The tall old man observed Harlan, being so obviously set up by old man Lou, yet showing no displeasure, rather, looking confident. He seemed to really have skills. Just wondering, why is he worth $1 million bounty from the Sprout organization? The first moment the tall old man saw Harlan, he recognized his identity. The Sprout organization's bounty had caused a huge stir in the underworld. Almost every intelligence agency had memorized Zero's face. The tall old man's position was responsible for such matters. So he was naturally aware. Seeing the wanted Harlan swagger into the city, he knew the sentry post had corrupt officers again. He really needed to find an opportunity to thoroughly cleanse the internal ranks. What was Harlan's purpose in West Capital? Was he a threat? These were questions the tall old man was concerned with. So far, the other's behavior seemed normal. The tall old man decided to continue observing. Old man Lou was different from him. In his youth, old man Lou had walked the line between life and death. Experienced and sharp, he'd keenly sensed the bloody aura of death clinging to Harlan, hence deliberately making things difficult, not wanting Harlan to stay in the repair shop. Fearing trouble, But Old Man Lu had been out of the underworld for too long, unaware Harlan was the Sprout organization's bounty target. Old Lu's request is truly harsh. Putting the choice in my hands, he wants me to help him out. The tall old man and Old Man Lu exchanged a look. Harlan quickly finished measuring. Kira, dissatisfied with her grandpa's actions, eagerly stepped in to help. Come on, tell me your ideas, let's draw the diagrams together, that'll save time. Unexpectedly, Harlan declined her help, smiling. No need to draw, I already have a complete design in mind. Kira's eyes widened, incredulous. Just 2 minutes. And you have an idea? You're blowing smoke, kid, Old Man Lu scoffed. Conceptualizing a complete blueprint in your head in 2 minutes, even he, a mechanical expert, couldn't do it, let alone this kid. Nonsense. Harlan didn't explain further, quickly writing down a list of materials and equipment needed. Kira was the shop manager. She'd be faster finding things than he would. Kira soon prepared all the materials. She was very unhappy with Old Man Lu's behavior, so she tried her best to help Harlan. Though not holding much hope, such harsh conditions, Kira really didn't believe Harlan could manage it. Harlan selected materials and started working. Raw metal materials of various shapes, under the work of presses, lathes, and other equipment, gradually transformed into what Harlan had envisioned. The main material he used was a common type of aluminum alloy, lightweight and tough, easy to grind and shape. Some rivets, screws, and cables were pre-made. Saving a lot of time, beginner mechanical affinity granted Harlan extraordinary perception of metal components. Touching the metal, he could vaguely sense the eager emotion from the material about to be processed. This feeling fleeting, like an illusion. Mechanical affinity was the core ability of the mechanic class, affecting all aspects of a mechanic's equipment use and manufacturing. Beginner mechanical affinity increased mechanical quality and manufacturing speed by 1% per level. The top-tier bionic prosthesis could collect myoelectric signals, whereas only needed to think, and the brain's nerve signals could control the arm, no different from a real arm. The Winter Soldier's metal arm was an enhanced version of this type, but it required Neuralink establishment with the body through surgery, requiring mechanic class's control branch, basic electromagnetic principles, and neural interfacing. Going deeper, this technology became cybernetic implants, even replacing limbs other than the brain with machinery, becoming mechanized soldiers. This path was akin to walking the road of mechanical life. Mechanical bodies could not generate chi, and could only continuously seek stronger machinery to update their own modules, strengthening themselves with external force. The only benefit was perhaps extremely long lifespan, not needing to consider hunger or thirst, but losing sensory thinking. They were easily influenced by cosmic psychic whispers, brainwashed by certain forces or powerful beings, losing themselves, unless they programmed their own thinking. Set up logical loops, becoming spiritually immune, but that would mean losing free thought, becoming an AI thinking according to programs. Advanced civilizations generally used this method to create cannon fodder. And few players chose this development path. A slightly inferior bionic prosthesis could adopt voice control mode, but it also had prerequisites, requiring the control branch's basic acoustics. Mechanical technology was interlinked. The same creation, using different knowledge, had infinite possibilities. Mechanical knowledge was a large tree. With more branches, the higher you went. Harlan settled for second best, applying the principle of the light power arm to the bionic prosthesis, taking mechanical power as the core, weakening the power, using batteries as energy sources to prevent pollution like the light power arm's black smoke everywhere. Force transmission was completed by the traction cables between the prosthesis's skeleton, acting like tendons, following the wearer's amputated limb movements, achieving consistent coordination. Old Man Lu, from who knows where, produced a green glass bottle of beer. Drinking and observing, wanting to see what kind of contraption Harlan could make. If he blew his own horn too loud, Old Man Lou wouldn't be stingy with his ridicule. Chapter 023, Sabotaging Teammates as parts were rapidly ground out by various equipment and assembled and welded together. Everyone could see it was a prosthetic limb taking shape. What was even more astonishing was that Harlan had never made any redundant parts from start to finish, wasting no time, proving he really had conceived the entire design in his mind within 2 minutes. My goodness, could he really pull it off? Old Man Lou muttered, earning a glare from Kira. Grandpa was indeed up to no good, sensing their surprise. Harlan almost laughed out loud. Blueprints were readily available. Trying to fail would be a skill. System prompt: you have crafted bionic prosthesis left arm. Mechanical power type, exceptional quality. Gained 2,000 experience points. Bionic prosthesis left arm, mechanical power type, exceptional quality. Special item: highly simulated skeleton, using mechanical power and traction cables in coordination. Joints can freely adjust shape, perfectly adapting to the amputated area. Soft and non-irritating to skin, ultra-wear resistant, a bionic prosthetic skeleton with a metallic sheen was crafted by Harlan, taking 2 hours and 33 minutes. Everyone present were experts. The shape of the prosthetic skeleton looked very ergonomic, precision components, cables, and a large capacity battery to provide power. Brand new and gleaming, everyone was stunned. He actually finished it. Kira covered her mouth, her eyes sparkling incredulously, a thought bubbling up in her mind. I've struck gold. Just need to cover the skeleton with a layer of silicone skin, and it'll be virtually indistinguishable from a real arm, Harlan introduced. Stop the chatter, try it on. Old Man Lou swallowed. Though Harlan had indeed surprised him, the initiative was in his old friend's hands. He still had confidence in driving Harlan away. The tall old man sighed, picked up the bionic prosthesis, glanced at it, and immediately took a liking to it, as soon as it connected to his amputated arm. He found the touch very soft, unlike other prostheses that chafed the skin, like sinking into a sponge, yet it fit snugly. The tall old man had previously been reluctant to wear prostheses because they hindered movement. But Harlan's bionic prosthesis completely lacked this limitation. Even moving it gave the pleasant illusion that his arm was still there. The elasticity of the traction cables allowed him to complete simple arm movements without effort. Perfect, only these 2 words could express the tall old man's feelings at this moment. What do you think? Is this thing any good? Old Man Lou calmly drank his beer. Everything was under his control. Now it was up to old Gao. Kira nervously watched the tall old man, terrified of hearing a no. The tall old man was in a dilemma. On one side was his friend's request, on the other, his personal feelings. Which was more important? This question didn't even need consideration. The thing is excellent. I'm very satisfied. Old Man Lou sprayed a mouthful of beer everywhere, choking and coughing violently, glaring furiously at the tall old man. Teammates in name only. You're not playing by the script. If you like it, it's yours, Harlan said casually. The tall old man nodded. I'll remember this favor. Old Man Lou was dumbfounded. Wasn't this made from my materials? If there was a favor, it should be his. Borrowing flowers to present to Buddha. Did you even ask me? So, can I stay? Harlan asked with a smirk. Old Man Lou's face flushed red, then pale. He could only grit his teeth and accept it, turning to stomp upstairs to escape the unpleasant sight. Tossing down an indignant remark, HMPH, stay if you want, let's see how long you last. Kira cheered, excitedly pumping her fist, seeing the matter settled. The tall old man smiled at Harlan, waved, and turned to leave. Stepping out of the alley, he got into a waiting black armored sedan. The driver respectfully handed over an encrypted phone. The tall old man made a call, his aura instantly shifting, becoming authoritative, utterly different from the amiable old man just moments ago. He spoke sternly. Sprout wanted Fugitive Zero has infiltrated West Capital. Coordinates are, have intelligence monitor closely. I had brief contact with the target, suggest a gentle probe. Avoid hard measures unless absolutely necessary. Defectors from the Sprout organization were always eagerly courted by the Six Nations, hoping to glean Sprout intelligence. Unfortunately, past defectors were mostly small fry, but Harlan was the only Sprout defector with a bounty on his head. Perhaps he possessed crucial information. Considering this, the tall old man decided to proceed cautiously. Harlan retracted his gaze. His performance should have made the tall old man perceive him as a low threat. Laying a good foundation for future contact, coming to the repair shop had three benefits. First, Old Man Lou possessed a complete set of mechanic class basic knowledge, saving him the time of searching for professional knowledge. Second benefit, the repair shop could be his hideout, evading Sprout's pursuit. The Six Nations all had Sprout informants. But this repair shop was one of the few locations Sprout wasn't aware of. Even if enemies really did come chasing, tall people would take the hit. Old Man Lou's combat power, conservatively estimated, could take down a bunch of current stage hellers. Don't be fooled by Old Man Lou's slacker, old rogue appearance. He actually concealed formidable combat power. One of the few D-level supers on Blue Star, a beginner planet in version 1.0, the strongest were at most sea-level, already kings and overlords, even in interstellar terms. They were considered mid-level strength. The mechanic class, ranked in the super system, had a famous theory: if mechanics are limited by the physique of ordinary people, it will restrict more than 90% of inventions. Only powerful individuals can use stronger machinery. As one grew, the usage restrictions on mechanic class creations became increasingly stringent. Some powerful machinery was for mechmasters only. Other four classes couldn't use them. Mechanics wasn't always about wielding giant guns and cannons in mecha suits. Advanced mechmasters used different machinery as tactical cores, creating diverse combat modes: assault, control, assassination, defense, ranged, and more. Robot armies, firepower covering gunners, mecha warriors, tech-enhanced melee fighters wielding high-tech cold weapons, virtual illusions, fortress deployments. Even modifying oneself into a machine body, endless possibilities. Star CS official description of mechmasters was skilled in using mechanical weapons in combat, possessing high-speed assembly capabilities, excellent versatility. The most important phrase was high-speed assembly. After learning high-density material compression technology and beginner space technology, mechmasters could fold giant weapons into finger-sized metal chips, carrying them on their person, instantly unfolding and restoring them to their original state when combat began. Chi Force was the energy bar for psionics, attack power for martial arts, mana source for magic, and mental energy reactor for telekinesis. Of course, Mechmaster's Chi Force wasn't just for show. When Chi Force reached a certain level, it would replace the function of hands, lathes, and equipment, super-speed manufacturing new machinery from scratch in combat. As long as raw materials were endless, Mechmaster's weapons would be inexhaustible. Of course, the prerequisite was learning second-level disassembly and reassembly, and other professional knowledge, because player inventories had real weight limits. Only mechanics and mages and extremely rare space psions could achieve spacebag effects. The third and most important benefit was that the repair shop was related to a hidden storyline, granting several divine weapon blueprints for the early mechanic class. Old Man Lou would leave the repair shop in the future, leaving behind a password box containing blueprints researched for years to be given to his daughter Kira to pass to her father Leon. Leon was a wandering warlord. Old Man Lou and his son had always had a terrible relationship. In his past life, a mechanic class player had run dozens of complex quest loops to finally get the password to open the box. then painstakingly gathered materials. After crafting them, the rewards were immediate: combat power soared, becoming a PK arena overlord with a record of 38 consecutive wins. Even 3 players of other classes at the same level couldn't beat him. Those blueprints were early-game divine weapons, and Harlan didn't need to do the complex pre-quest loops. He knew the password from the start. The hidden storyline and password box event happened after the public beta. Harlan had an early bird advantage. First, establishing good relations. For those divine weapons, it was worth it. Let me tell you about the apprentice's pay. 1,000 a month, room and board included. There's a spare room upstairs. Usual work is mechanical repairs, completing customer orders. Is that okay? Kira looked at Harlan anxiously, having witnessed Harlan's skills. Worried such pay would drive him away, but she really didn't have extra money. I accept. Kira was overjoyed, instantly developing good feelings. Upstairs were full living quarters. Living room, bathroom, kitchen, and several bedrooms. Kira led Harlan to his bedroom, a wooden plank bed without a mattress, a wardrobe, a bookshelf, and a small workbench. This is your room. Kira handed Harlan the room key, enthusiastically helping him clean. 1,000 wages might not even cover a month's food costs. Kira couldn't be more satisfied with Harlan. Where else could she find such cheap, high-quality labor? This young man must be a bit simple-minded. I need to treat him well. Can't let him run off. Harlan was amused and helpless. He, the applicant, wasn't nervous, but the shop owner was walking on eggshells. What was going on? Chapter 024 Water. Not a chance. Kira left after cleaning the room. Lying on the bed, Harlan comfortably narrowed his eyes, relaxing his body and mind. Next, he just needed to wait for Bureau 13 to come knocking. Still not strong enough. Harlan knew very well that to deal with Sprout, borrowing power was just a shortcut. True reliance was on his own strength, and to make Bureau 13 take him seriously, he also needed strength. Currently, there were no opportunities to do quests or fight monsters. So only technical work remained. Manufacturing machinery cost money. Finding side hustles was imperative. West Capital had many opportunities. Turning them into his own strength was still a long road ahead. As a classic song went, Jang Guolo, hooves west, carrying Monk Shah, following the Calabash brothers, heading west for scriptures, a journey of tens of thousands of miles. The public beta was still half a year away. Before then, he needed to prepare well. After tidying up his room, Harlan returned downstairs. Kira was working at the lathe, repairing some household appliance, her round, perky buttocks encased in hot pants, revealing a pair of straight, fair, long legs, making him involuntarily glance a few more times. Kira wiped sweat with a towel. Orders are in the drawer. The repair shop's business was slow. Most orders were backlogged. Harlan casually picked an easy one. Getting busy at the lathe, work continued until 7 in the evening, when the repair shop closed. Kira changed into a white long dress, loosened her pinned-up hair. A head of lustrous black hair cascaded over her shoulders, making her even more approachable and gentle, like a sisterly figure. Her dress had mending marks, showing that finances weren't very comfortable. Harlan couldn't help but wonder if Kira wore such revealing clothes while working, perhaps to save on fabric. At dinner time, Old Man Lou finally appeared. Having locked himself in his room all day, no one knew what he was doing. Dinner's ready. Old Man Lou, with his wild, thinning hair, didn't look like someone who did housework. Meals were all handled by Kira, picking up a piece of braised pork and popping it into his mouth. Fatty but not greasy, flavorful juices bursting, Harlan's eyes lit up. Delicious, right? Kira beamed. Harlan had no time to answer, his mouth constantly working. This was real food. What had he been eating for the past half-year? There's plenty more. Eat slowly. Kira, delighted her cooking was appreciated, kept piling food onto his plate. After eating for a while, Old Man Lou suddenly spoke. What exactly are you? Harlan paused his chopsticks. Just an ordinary person. Such clumsy lies, how can they fool me? Boy, give it to me straight. Old man Lou chuckled coldly, hands smoothing his thinning hair, looking just like a hairy, hard-boiled egg. Harlan raised an eyebrow. What if I don't tell you? Don't tell me. Old man Lou's voice rose, suddenly flicking his hair, earth-shattering, unleashing the abandon of a heavy metal guitarist. The heroic spirit of Let the Wine Cup Never Rest, a vast expanse of loneliness and sorrow fluttering towards Harlan, such a dangerous, vast, snow-swept landscape of the motherland. Harlan's eyes narrowed, swiftly spinning, leaping 5 meters away, arms crossed, assuming a blocking stance on high alert. Old man Lou squinted. Good skills. Could it be the legendary 4 Old Black Goose ballet footwork? You have good eyes. HMPH, nothing special. I also have a move, white dandruff 3,000 feet. Those touched die, those brushed lose their souls. Dare you take this move? Old man Lou's 2 fingers slightly curled, pinching his hair, like holding a weapon. Imposing and dignified, with the air of a grandmaster, such divine skill exists in this world. Harlan's expression changed. My level, how could you possibly understand? Old man Lou chuckled. Kira wore a gentle smile behind her, a thunderous black cloud condensed, like a celestial phenomenon, lightly tapping the table with her chopsticks. Faintly saying, sit down, eat. The two returned to their seats in the blink of an eye, looking calm and collected as if nothing had happened. West Capital was vast. Divided into 8 districts and 3 satellite cities, interconnected by military railways. District 1 was the central core area, where all government office buildings were located. Off-limits to civilians, undercurrents flowed between the 6 nations. Though the Sprout organization was a common enemy, the 6 nations were also in competition. With no absolute allies, assassinations targeting each other's high-level officials never stopped, though officially, assassinations were blamed on the Sprout organization and certain super-criminals. Each nation's intelligence agencies knew well that at least 70% of assassinations were orchestrated by other nations. Each nation's intelligence agencies. The Sprout organization, wandering warlords, arms dealers, information brokers, super-criminals, assassin organizations, hackers, and other outlaws formed the underworld of this planet. Dragonhorn Tower was the core government building of Star Dragon, the offices of top leaders. Theoretically, Dragonhorn Tower's outer walls could withstand intercontinental missiles. So Star Dragon's bigwigs didn't have to worry about a missile hitting their heads during meetings, and beneath Dragonhorn was the headquarters of secret departments. Dragonhorn Tower, underground, unmarked floor on the elevator panel, headquarters of Star Dragon National Land Strategic Defense Bureau, dozens of giant black screens hung on the walls. Massive matrix data flashing, the sound of keyboard clicks merged into a continuous stream, countless intelligence personnel coming and going, busy like gears in a machine. Maintaining the operation of this intelligence agency, briefly called Bureau 13, countless pieces of information, large and small, converged here for processing. Then dispatched to their designated departments, Bureau 13 was Star Dragon's eyes and ears, the hidden dagger in its sleeve. Report, Director. Zero's location has been pinpointed. A bespectacled, quiet female secretary hurriedly knocked open the intelligence director's office door, seeing the director sitting behind his desk with a stern face. A glistening water stain at the corner of his mouth, he said gravely, "Speak. Director, were you just slacking off, napping?" The secretary squinted. "Nonsense," the director glared. "Get to the point. Zero is currently hiding in a mechanical repair shop in District 7. The director turned his chair around, pondering for a moment before turning back, seriously saying, "The higher-up's directive is gentle contact. Did you just turn around to wipe your drool? I really regret promoting you." The secretary adjusted her glasses, lenses flashing. How exactly to implement it, since Zero came to West Capital alone? The subtext is seeking asylum, already showing intent to cooperate. Prepare for both possibilities, initiate witness protection protocol, don't let Sprout's spies in West Capitol know of his presence. Have the hacker division intercept all mentions of Zero's whereabouts, don't let any information leak from the network. Simultaneously, send people to probe discreetly. See if he's a Sprout mole, don't rashly make contact before confirming. Sprout's $1 million defector bounty, 2 possibilities. First, he possesses key intelligence. Second, he has formidable strength, danger level hard to assess. Absolutely must not spook him. I don't want a repeat of the Black Spider capture operation that blew up 2 city blocks and still failed. Leading to a 2-hour tongue-lashing from the bureau chief. Chapter 025 New knowledge work at the repair shop was light. Harlan had plenty of extra time for his own affairs. Going out to find side hustles, Crow's junkyard, the largest in District 7, piles of junk like small mountains, various large machines constantly processing. This was the territory of Raccoon, District 7's underworld boss. Wherever there was law and civilization, such gang-affiliated, shady figures were unavoidable. Like shadows under sunlight, especially in such a chaotic social environment, though West Capitol was Star Dragon's capital, many spies from other nations and forces lurked in this city. Along with arms dealers, information brokers, dark web assassins operating in secret, breeding ground for vice. These underworld forces were local snakes. Though well known in West Capitol, they were actually not above board. Harlan, wearing a mask, walked into the junkyard, immediately stopped by several menacing men. "Kid, this isn't a place for you." A bald, burly man blocked Harlan's path, sizing him up with ill intent. Harlan's thin frame was as easy to bully as a lamb in their eyes. "I want to see Raccoon," Harlan said calmly. The workers burst into laughter as if hearing the biggest joke. "We don't have time to play house with you. Hurry home to your mommy, or we'll break your legs." The bald burly man waved the wrench in his hand, threatening. "Does Raccoon only let small fry like you speak for him?" "What did you say?" The bald burly man was enraged, grabbing Harlan's collar. Harlan stared with dead fish eyes, silent, his palm placed on the burly man's wrist. Gently squeezing, the burly man felt a wrist pain, instinctively letting go, glancing down, shocked to see several purplish-blue finger marks on his wrist. "Friend, what gang are you with?" The burly man's expression changed, wary. Just then, the burly man suddenly tilted his head, listening to the micro-earpiece hidden in his ear canal. The hostility on his face vanished, stepping aside, saying in a deep voice, "Boss wants to see you," following the burly man inside the junkyard to a rest station. A small, thin man, legs crossed, leaned back on the sofa, 2 fingers twirling a wine glass. Just looking at his appearance, it was hard to imagine he controlled District 7's underworld. Raccoon said casually, "Heard you wanted to see me, what's your name?" "Han, the mechanic," Harlan replied casually. Raccoon sneered, "If I find you're wasting my time, you should know the consequences." Strangers hadn't dared to boldly seek cooperation for a long time, especially a wet-behind-the-ears youth, out of curiosity. He decided to meet Harlan. Harlan raised an eyebrow, suddenly reaching out, a phantom sweep past the burly man beside him, before Raccoon could even see clearly. A handgun was already in his hand. The burly man was horrified, quickly feeling for his lower back, finding the hidden gun gone. Raccoon's henchmen immediately drew guns. Tense, aiming at Harlan. "What do you mean by this?" Raccoon paused, feeling uneasy. He knew the burly man's strength, his right-hand man, 1 against 10 no problem. Yet he couldn't keep up with this youth's movements. Who was this guy? Harlan's fingers moved rapidly, like solving a Rubik's Cube, the handgun, like a wilting flower. Instantly turned into parts scattered on the ground with clattering sounds. "Weapons are high-profit products for big powers, and I can help you cut costs. All I need is a small fee." Raccoon was immediately interested. This kid could make guns. Weapons were hard currency in the underworld. Black market gun prices were exorbitant. Pure robbery. Knowing how to use a gun and knowing how to make a gun were two different concepts. Mechanics who knew how to manufacture guns were highly sought after. Local powers like Raccoon couldn't attract skilled mechanics. Now a proper mechanic WS Chinese letter coming to his door, Raccoon saw an opportunity. How do you want to cooperate? I'll make a list later. You prepare materials and parts. I'm responsible for manufacturing and assembly. Every morning I'll come to work for 2 hours. Labor fee $1,500 per handgun, and I get to take away any mechanical junk I fancy. Harlan had thoroughly researched Sprout Organization's weapons. Basic firearms were easy to manufacture. Raccoon bargained fiercely. Materials are all mine. I can only give you 1,000. Harlan, without a word, turned to leave. Raccoon immediately panicked. He was just trying to test Harlan's bottom line, not expecting such a big reaction. He quickly said, Wait, your price it is. A handgun on the black market cost 3,000 to 4,000. Harlan's labor fee was within Raccoon's tolerance range. Prepare lathe equipment and materials. I'll come tomorrow. I'll go grab some mechanical junk first. Harlan knew well that mechanics with skills had great leverage in such negotiations, plus the other party couldn't figure out his identity and combat power. Raccoon's eyes darkened, signaling the burly man to follow and monitor. He didn't mind letting Harlan taste some sweetness first. Anyway, the junkyard was his territory. He had plenty of ways to deal with swindlers. Harlan picked out quite a few usable parts, leaving leisurely, noticing a tail behind him, understanding Raccoon's intentions. Wanting to figure out his identity and address, Harlan quickly made a few turns after leaving the junkyard, shaking off the tracker. This way, Bureau 13 will also learn of my mechanic abilities. Harlan thought, with Bureau 13's intelligence capabilities, it would be easy to find out he was working for Raccoon to earn extra money. This was also his way of indirectly demonstrating his strength. And he needed opportunities to manufacture machinery. Though mechanics were weak early game, it had pros and cons. Compared to combat classes, they were more favored by faction powers. Leveling up contribution points was lightning fast. As for why choose Raccoon, no other reason than proximity, saving him travel time. Back at the repair shop, Harlan was questioned by Kira. He had already prepared an excuse, pointing to the large bag of parts he brought back. Went to the junkyard to scavenge. Junkyard bad public security in those places. Go there less often in the future. Kira didn't overthink it. As long as orders weren't delayed, she wouldn't interfere with Harlan's free time. She had a natural fondness for talents who didn't ask for high pay, almost always accommodating. Harlan put down the parts, mind diving into the inventory panel. Still many potential points unused, might as well learn the remaining 2 basic knowledge of the armament branch. The repair shop had a complete set of mechanic class basic knowledge. Few places were more suitable for early mechanic class development than a repair shop. Knowledge books were Old Man Lou's private collection. Harlan went to Old Man Lou to ask for books. Unsurprisingly, got the cold shoulder. I want to read the mechanical knowledge books. Go, no books for you here. Don't be so stingy, just think of it as sponsoring excellent youth. Nurturing potential employees. Your skin is even thicker than I imagined, but no use. I just don't want to let you read them. What can you do about it? Good question. What could Harlan do? The next day, when Kira handed the stolen books to Harlan, Old Man Lou was stamping his feet in fury. How could I have such a granddaughter? Elbows bent outwards, Kira also had the key to his room, obviously impossible to take it back. Old Man Lou gnashed his teeth in anger. You wait. I'll get my revenge sooner or later and get you fired. Basic weaponry and basic material compendium, the last 2 basic level professional knowledge of the armament branch. Harlan's level 20 advancement quest was to learn 1 advanced knowledge. Prerequisite was learning 5 basic knowledge from the same branch. Player advancement quests weren't fixed. His level 20 quest was of the most demanding difficulty. On a beginner planet, advanced knowledge was extremely rare. Harlan's advancement requirements, even as a player's level 40 quest, seemed very difficult. Ordinary level 20 players might not even have found all the basic knowledge of one branch. The unluckiest might not even have unlocked their main class. The repair shop didn't have advanced knowledge, he could only learn basic knowledge first, but Harlan was already very satisfied. Finding knowledge books was a headache for all players. Some level 40, 50 players hadn't even learned all basic knowledge yet, while the repair shop had a complete set of mechanic class basic knowledge. This was more than just leading at the starting line. It was directly standing at the finish line. Pan-Universal Civilization Contact Treaty, 7th Revised Edition of the 3 major cosmic powers of Star C. If intelligent species are discovered, it is forbidden to maliciously interfere with the development process of low-level civilizations by means of war. Genetic manipulation, pheromones, and 127 other methods. So Blue Star had not obtained advanced technological knowledge from interstellar powers. Advanced knowledge was already the peak. Strictly controlled by major powers, regarded as classified information. System prompt: consume 1 potential point to learn basic weaponry. System prompt: consume 1 potential point to learn basic material compendium. Confirm.